Hello, Watem here, welcome back to some more Umineko When Seagulls Cry. Let us continue.
その私を苦しめてきたのはあんたじゃない。私が復讐したいくらいよ。あんたが生まれる前にそうすればよかった。あんたなんか産まなければよかった。消えてしまえ。うわ
As Rosa howled, in a way that can only be described by the word splat, her upper body was crushed. In an instant, it became something similar to a wrung, blood-stained towel.
潰れてしまえ。許せない。許せない。クズがふさわしい姿よ。
Even though Rosa's waist and below was standing normally, just the upper half of her body had been pinched, and that extreme contrast was bizarre. Then she fell over. The instant she fell, her body was restored.
Maria, 怒りと悲しみの生産の時、ぶつけろ、吐き出せ。そなたの胸に打ち込まれたくさびをすべて押し出し跳ね返せ。
Maria's howl was adorned with the ugly sound of flesh and bone being crushed at the same time. Miss Rosa, who had foully insulted Maria, lay spread eagled. A neat, perfect circle was cut out of her chest and crushed, as though her chest had been trampled by an invisible elephant. Her heart and her lungs and her ribs were trampled so mercilessly that they were completely indistinguishable. It might have symbolized the pain in Maria's heart up until today.
そなたの気はこれで晴れた。
Nope.
母の罪が許せる。
Nope.
否か。無罪。
Guilty.
有罪か。許せない。まだまだ全然許せない。
I expect you're going to get this shattered before she forgives her.
ママは有罪だ。有罪、有罪、有罪。許せない。無論だと思う。そなたの苦渋の日々がこの程度の罰で見合ってなるものか。思い知るがいいローザ。さあさあ思い出してごらんなさい。そなたがどんな姿をしていたのか。殺されるためによみがえれ。己が罪を見そぐために殺されよ。何度でも。
And Beato waved her cane. Her body was restored again, and Rosa sat up, coughing violently in apparent pain. Once again, she spat out curses, rejecting Maria.
お前はママなんかじゃない。魔女だ。マリアとママを苦しめる魔女だ。ママの姿をしているからって許さない。許さない。魔女はあんたでしょ。気持ち悪い本ばかり読んで魔女ごっこにかぶれて消えるのはあんたの方よ。あんたのせいで私まで変わり者扱い。あんたのせいであんたのせいでお前なんか産まなければよかった。お前なんか生まれてくるな。
And whose fault was that?
生まれてくる前から大嫌いだったのよ。
It's not like she could have done anything about it. Maria could have done anything about it. Maria screamed. Was she unable to bear her anger and sadness? Or else Had she been taken over by an indescribable emotion? It was surely a cry of hopelessness. And yet, it was a reality that had to be accepted. Maria knew. She knew that she was thought of as a burden. But even though she herself had known that, she didn't believe it. She believed that her mother loved her, and had done her best to positively interpret several events that could have made her doubt this. Trusting and clinging to her mother's love. But she had no one except Mama. Even so, she really did like Mama, and wanted to return to the days when she believed that Mama loved her. I howled. I'll erase all of it. I won't accept it. I'll deny it. I'll deny the mother who says these things, the black witch who makes her say them, and the part of myself that can't forgive my mother. But I can't deny it. This is reality, fact, the truth, the answer. Without any mistake, this is absolute reality. Maria turned Rosa into a lump of meat over and over in the dark world that reflected her heart, rang the ugly sound of flesh and bone being torn apart, which would make anyone want to cover their ears. Each time, Beatrice revived Rosa. She dragged her back into the world of endless torture, which could not be escaped from even by death. This was the true, deepest hell that the endless witch Beatrice could create. However, this world was not made endless by Beatrice's will, as every time Rosa turned into a lump of meat, she asked the same question to Maria.
気は晴れたか、マリア。そなたの怒りは母を許せるか。
許せるものか、許せるものか。許さない、許さない。マリアの苦しみのすべてを教えてやる。もっともっと教えてやる。まだまだ足りない、全然足りない。生まれた時から、生まれる前から蔑まれてきたこの怒りと悲しみがどうしても消せないの。
あんたなんか大嫌い、大嫌い。
Revive over and over again. Return to a meat lump over and over again. Various ways, she crushed, smashed, beat, and tore to bits. Flying blood, batter, and flesh turned the once pitch-black world into a world with mixed red and black. Maria's anger still hadn't calmed down. It was as though she was spitting out all of the suppressed rage from the time of her birth until today. If that all became poison to her heart, then would the repeated murder of her mother purify her soul? Would even this wasteful murder save her soul? At least a little bit? This endless torture might have become a slight diversion from her sad and rewarded life. After all, it seemed that she'd finally been able to regain her smile.
思い知れ、マリアの不幸の根源め。思い知れ、私の痛みがこの程度ではないことを。どうしたの？もう笑わないの？笑ってみせろよ。
Half of her skull collapsed. Eyeballs flew out and black cranial fluid gushed. Fragments of teeth scattered.
ほら、よみがえりなよ。笑ってみせなよ。ほら、ほら。
whole chest, along with her ribs, turned inside out, exposing her filthy innards. All of them writhed, like some kind of impure creature.
ほらほらほら、蘇って、まだ笑える？まだ笑える？
Rosa couldn't laugh anymore. But her face was laughing. It was filled with a twisted laugh, covered with malice that rejected her unwanted daughter. I erased that laughing voice. Next, I'll erase that laughing face. I'll erase it. I'll crush it. I'll tear it to bits.
笑えよ、笑ってみせてよ、ママ。
I was leaning in and then that suddenly popped up. Great.
どうしたのママ、起きてよ、絵本を読んでよ、お散歩に行こうよ。愛してるって言ってよ、次の日曜日の約束をしようよ。お買い物に行こう、映画に行こう。そしてその約束をどうせ破るんだよ。楽しいねママ、楽しいね。マリアは今ママと遊んでるんだね。
そうだ、そなたは今母と遊んでいるのだ。じゃれているのだ。
Uh-huh. Yeah. Playing with your mother and having fun with her. That's definitely what's happening.
どうか、今の感情は怒りでも悲しみでも苦しみでもないはず。
うん、そうだね、わかるよベアトリーチェ。私は今すっごく楽しいよ。ママと遊んでるんだもん。すっごく楽しい。そしてママを何度も何度も殺してるのに、魔法一つで好きなだけ生き返らせられる。おもちゃは壊したら直せないから大事にした。でも治るおもちゃなら何度でも壊したい。でも作太郎は治らないんだね。治せないんだね。作ったママが、産んだママが認めないから。私もママに認められてないんだね。だから壊れたマリアももう治らないんだね。
Oof.
楽しいよママ。こんなにも楽しくなったらなぜかママが許せる気がしてきたの。
Oh.
ねえベアト、これはとっても不思議な感情。どうしてマリアはママを許せる気持ちになってきたの？
それは生き死にを自由にできる力を得た魔女のみがたどり着く達観の境地。いつでも殺せる。必要なら蘇らせる。面倒ならまた殺せばいい。それをいつでも指一本鳴らすだけでできることを知ったなら、人の世のざれ言などその全ては聞き流すに等しい虫の声いいかよ。そなたに母を許そうという感情が芽生えたのは、そなたが母の愛に目覚めたからではない。そなたが今こそ
Wall has been pulled away.
真の魔女の世界の入り口に立ったからだ。ようこそマリア。深淵なる、そして甘美なる魔女の世界へ。
なったんだ。マリアはもうマリアじゃない。 まだ見習いかもしれないけれど人間の世界を超えた。私はもう原初の魔女見習いマリアなんだ。もう私は何も悔しくない、悲しくない。ママ許してあげるよ。きっと私はママを許せる。
Right.
もうちょっとしたら許せると思うの。だって魔女だから。
Few thousand more times. Come. Maria would probably forgive her mother eventually, and after brutally murdering her countless times, graciously.
Oh, でけえな、今の落雷は。
Oh, it wasn't a shatter.
近いんじゃねえか。
みたいだね。いくつになっても落雷にはビクッとさせられるね。
Madeline was looking at the dark night through a crack in the curtains. Every once in a while, a pale white lightning bolt would shine, and he seemed to be enjoying it.
お？なんだよ、バトラが騒がしくしてるからマリアが起きちゃったじゃねえか。ごめんなマリア、バトラが騒がしくて。
なんだよ、俺のせいかよ。
Yep, 100% your fault.
悪いなマリア、寝てていいぞ。おやすみな。
Maria was a bit hazy, with drowsy eyes. Probably half asleep and couldn't think straight.
おう、もういい、寝ない。
いいから寝てろって。まだ寝ぼけてるぜ。
寝ぼけてない。
なんだよ、もろに寝ぼけてるじゃねえか。寝てろ寝てろおい。
寝ぼけてない、寝ぼけてない。よせってバカバトラ。もう寝起きのこの機嫌を悪くするなんてバカだな。寝ぼけてない、寝ぼけてないもん。
わかってるよ、マリアちゃん。寝ぼけてなんかないよ。だから落ち着いて。
寝ぼけてないもん、寝ぼけてないもん。
Maybe it was because of her delicate mental state after waking up. Maria suddenly threw a tantrum. Madeline had only been trying to tease her a bit, so he was confused by this extreme overreaction. George held her head, trying to calm her down, but Maria's tantrum wasn't going to be quelled easily. Battler and Jessica were trying to push the blame on each other, saying, "It's your fault too."
ほら、二人とも静かにして。ジェシカちゃん、ポットにまだお湯があったよね。お茶でも入れてあげてくれる？落ち着いた？マリアちゃん。
It looked like her tantrum was dying down a bit by bit, and she still glared at Battler, who had made fun of her with sharp eyes.
バトラー君もふざけて言っただけなんだよ。マリアちゃんが寝ぼけてるなんて思ってないよ。だから落ち着いて。ね。
George noticed. Maria was staring at Battler with incredible eyes. And, despite having just displayed all of that emotion, she laughed in a small voice. Instead of a laugh, it seemed more like she was muttering while thinking about. or else counting each he. As though each time she said he, something brutal would happen over and over. George felt something creepy for just an instant, but he couldn't spot the madness that peeked out of the depths of the girl's eyes for just a moment. Ah, so this is the reality of this is the true reality of the Witcher's game. It's Maria can murder Battler over and over again. That's definitely the reason why. Yep. After a short period of stunned silence on George's part, Maria stopped her bizarre quiet laugh and pushed George's arm aside, as though telling him to let go.
おう、許す。
そう。マリアちゃんは偉いな。バトラ君、マリアちゃんが許してくれたよ。仲直りして。
ああ、悪いな、からかって。許してくれ。
ほら、マリア。仲直りの印にカフェオレ作ってやったぜ。砂糖いっぱい入ってるから甘いぜ。いらない。でも許すよ。魔女だからね。
One more time, Maria laughed in a creepy, quiet voice. It was only for a very short time, so Battler and Jessica didn't think much of it. They decided to think that probably only looked that way when the lightning hit her cheek with a pale white light for an instant. At that time, they could hear the sound of loud footsteps coming from the hall. It was already about 10:30, late at night. Late at night is usually a time when you aren't supposed to be disturbed. Hearing footsteps like that at this time was far from calming. Then, along with a clearly ominous knock that repeated fiercely, they could hear God and Kumasawa's voices. That clearly told them that this was an abnormal situation.
お子様方、いらっしゃいますか。いらっしゃいますか。ゴーダでございます。
熊沢でございますよ。ご無事でございますか、皆さん。どうしたものやら、どうしたものやら。
When George opened the door, the two of them tumbled in, sopping wet. It looked like they had dashed here from the mansion without an umbrella.
どうしたんだよ、二人とも。何があったんだ。
Yes.
それが親方様が、旦那様が、皆様方が。
That was a very brief section of that piece. It was a pitch-black room. There were no windows, and with a weak light bulb, one could just barely make out the state of things around them. It appeared to be an old, forgotten underground storage room, with some kind of dusty furniture haphazardly thrown into it. However, even with just a little light, one could at least make out that it probably wasn't a storage room. After all, that room was sealed off with iron bars. I wonder where this is, and I wonder why.
ここはどこなの？
わからん。
Oh, multiple people this time.
ここは屋敷の地下なのか。食堂の真下にこんな部屋があったのか。
I forget exactly who's supposed to have died in that first Twilight until you got... I remember Nanjo fell down into the hall. They dropped into what appeared to be a pit, falling into this room. Therefore, it was natural to assume that this room was directly under the dining hall. However, not even Kraus could bring himself to believe that there were pitfalls rigged in his beloved dining hall, where he had enjoyed his meals for years. This dungeon-like room lay directly beneath it. But the ceiling above was of crude stone craftsmanship. They couldn't understand how they could have fallen from somewhere up there. No. All 5 people who'd been dropped here thought the same thing. Although they'd had the sensation of falling into a pit, there was no way there could be pitfalls in the dining hall, nor could this dungeon-like place be directly underneath it. But the truth was that they actually had fallen into this place and locked in, so they were confused.
あの高さから落ちて誰も怪我をしなかったのは幸運かもしれませんな。
シャノン、カノン、君たちはこんな部屋の存在は知っていたかね。
いいえ、僕たちもこのような部屋のことは存じかねます。
本当に？
本当です。本当にこんな部屋知りません。
Despite their age, Kyrie apparently wouldn't have found it odd if they, as servants allowed to wear the one-winged eagle, might know of the mansion's secret tricks. If they knew about it, obviously they would have cleaned it up. It's far too dusty for them to have known about it. There was a long silence as if Kraus was evaluating their answer.
いや、シャノンたちが知らないのは事実だろう。何しろ、綺麗好きのシャノンだ。
I was right!
彼女がこの部屋を知っていたなら、もっとピカピカに磨き上げているだろう。
I was mostly like looking at the halls and seeing the brickwork behind it, but yeah, I was right!
この部屋の汚さが、君たちがこの部屋を知らないことの証だ。今はそんなことより、これからどうするかの方が先決だと思わんかね。
その通りです。警察に、いえ、それから救急にも早く電話をしなければ。
So what do you think the chances are that Kyrie is able to pick the lock? Naja's words were hollow. Obviously, 6 people had been killed in the dining hall. Everybody had seen the exact moment when they'd been killed. And since half of their heads had been destroyed, anyone could tell that the deaths had been instant with just a single glance. Everyone understood that first aid no longer held any meaning.
ありがとう、南條先生。私たちは伴侶がもう生きてはいないことを理解できてる。気休めでも救急と言い添えてくれてありがとう。
夏井。
Once again, a gloomy silence dominated the atmosphere. Kraus shook his head harshly over and over, and, for the time being, decided to forget the pain of losing his wife, and to dedicate himself to figuring out where they were.
みんな聞きたまえ。親父はもうダメだ。口で言って理解や説明が求められる段階にもうない。
No. Nobody answered. Without any kind of discussion or mercy, 6 people had been killed in an instant. And Kinzo had even been so bold as to proclaim that we'd become sacrifices for a ceremony involving 13 murders. Since we've been locked up in this place, we too will probably become the ceremony's next sacrifices soon. Around this time, our eyes had become used to the darkness, and bit by bit, we were able to understand more about the dungeon's interior. What we thought was furniture haphazardly left in the dungeon turned out not to be furniture at all. But is it quote-unquote furniture? Oh. They were things like small cages to lock people in, restraints, or else torture racks. At any rate, it was obvious that this was eerier than a mere jail cell. Since the objects were rusted together and coated in thick dust, there was no doubt that they had been forgotten. Maybe you could even call these things Kinzo's sealed and forgotten madness. However, we had been locked away in this room. Those objects weren't exactly comforting to people who were locked up, hoping to be released without harm.
とにかくここを抜け出そう。私たちは伴侶や友人を失い、涙を流すことに時間を費やしたいが、 今はそれ以上に子供たちの身が心配だ。
お子様方はご無事でしょうか。
祈るしかない。そういえば熊沢さんと郷田さんはここにはいないな。
And what his thoughts are.
ひょっとすると無事に逃げ延びられたのかも。
かもしれませんな。子供たちと合流しててくれれば心強いのですが。
Would it though? Would it really?
郷田さんはいざという時頼りになるし、
Okay.
熊沢さんは経験豊富で落ち着いてるし、
She didn't seem all that calm at the end there.
きっと力になってくれると思います。
そうだといいがな。
Shannon and Krause smiled bitterly a little, but they quickly realized how improper that was and stopped, clearing their throats.
楽観はできないよ、姉さん。僕らに続いてもう襲われてしまってる可能性だってある。
同感ね。お父様が食堂で執行したのは魔女の碑文の第一の番の6人殺しなんでしょ。
And I think we're going to get into something new here, so I will end it there for today. I hope you've all enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments, and until next time.